Okay, I've always wanted to do this. I think one of the coolest things ever would be for someone to tell me, hey, you're going on a trip somewhere, I'm not gonna tell you where, just pack a bag, pack for this sort of weather, and show up at the airport with your passport. I actually have heard of a travel agency that books mystery flights for people. This is Daniel, he's my best bud, we've been friends for a really long time. He was the best man at my wedding.
So graceful with me, and all the times I complained and yelled at him for getting me into stupid situations.
And he just got engaged, so we're about to reverse roles. Even though we've been friends for a really long time, we haven't exactly taken a trip together. There's one exception, and it was a quick, spontaneous road trip to the Bay Area where he now lives. See, as close as we are, we have very different personalities. I love to wander, he tends to be more comfortable where he is, and so he's seen me go all kinds of places, but he hasn't really joined me, yet. Now, it's time for the big reveal.
You gave me nothing to go off of besides a passport, and that could have just been to throw me off. So I either thought Mexico, or Hawaii, or Brazil. And I'm still not sure until I see the actual plane we get on, and where they say we're going, because I don't trust you. But yes.
So you're going to Toronto.
Are we though? I'm still not sure until I see the actual plane we get on, and where they say we're going, because I don't trust you.
Hypothetically, if we end up in Toronto, what do you know about it?
Nothing.
And what do you want to do? You've got to know something about Toronto.
That's all I know is poutine. I know nothing. Nothing. No.
No?
No.
Drake's from there.
Also, you don't pronounce the second T in Toronto.
That's
it's
actually
not Toronto. It's Toronto.
Okay, that's actually a deep cut.
But other than that, I know very little. There's probably some landmark that's probably popular that I've probably heard
The
of.
CN Tower.
Is that okay? I was gonna say a Space Needle, but I was like, no, that's Seattle.
It's like East Coast Space Needle, the way I think about it.
And then I almost said that arc, but I think that's St. Louis.
That's St. Louis.
Yes. So I'm thinking of landmarks in the U.S.
Unfortunately.
No
American president carved into a mountain.
What? There's no Mount Rushmore in Canada? So excited for that, and now I'm not.
Toronto, one of the most diverse cities in the world, the city that gave us Drake, some of our favorite shows and movies, and one I always suspected had some hidden gems. Made it to Canada despite the fact that our plane had to circle Toronto for like an hour, so we got in pretty late. But the good news is, here's our balcony view. Downtown Toronto. It'll be neat to see what this place looks like in the day, but it's already looking really good right now. Alright, first morning in Toronto, first full day, and here's the game plan. We're going to St. Lawrence Market to get some breakfast and snacks and stuff to eat, followed by Kensington Market, which is a very different type of market. Not even really a market, it's more of the boho hipster neighborhood.
Is there like does Toronto have a Chinatown or some kind of version of that?
It does have a Chinatown, where we'll be later today.
Ooh, okay.
We were thinking of stuff filmed in Toronto, or set in Toronto, and we nailed Kim's Convenience.
Yes.
And Drake's album cover.
Yes. Is there any other pop culture?
Turning Red? That stadium right out there is where Four Town plays at the end.
The band, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Scott Pilgrim.
That is true. Yeah, you're right. Correct.
And apparently the mall for Mean Girls is located in one of the suburbs around here.
I want to find the Mean Girls mall. I would love nothing more.
I feel like we're going to end up like 40 minutes outside of the...
Wait a minute. Is that Kim's Convenience?
That is Kim's Convenience.
What? It's an actual location?
Yep.
It's not just apparently a play on which the show is based off of?
Not gonna lie, this was perhaps the thing I was most excited to see in Toronto. But let's see how the inside compares to the show. I don't even know what this is.
You really got the most random thing in there. Is it like orange soda?
It's Cola Champion.
Cola Champion. Busta Cola Champion. At least, wait, Busta makes you feel like it's what, Jamaican?
I know. I just felt
Are they
underwhelmed
trying?
like going in there and getting a Sprite. So I'm like, oh, this is different.
Okay, meanwhile, I got a bottle of Aquafina, so.
Next order of business, the Museum of Illusions. Had to get some new photos for, you know, LinkedIn and stuff. Toronto makes it so easy to get around. With the day getting later, we decided to go to the other side of town to check out Graffiti Alley. I like that it had at least one alley that looked like your typical alley. Something I think about quite a bit, actually, is just how much harder it gets to maintain friendships as you get older. I like this one. I mean, if I think of my 5 to 7 closest friends, we all live in different cities. And I don't know about you, but I can't do a yearly tour of all these cities. But seeing these people once a year or less, that doesn't sit right with me either. One thing I want to do, that I really hope to do in the future, is just more trips with friends. More trips that bring everyone together in the same space. Because we don't get enough of that. Finally, we spent the night in Toronto's legendary Chinatown. And we ate. Really, an actual highlight reel of the night might look like this. This last spot, though, is one I want you to be aware of. Cereal Box. It's a place that makes ice cream all flavored after the leftover milk from a bowl of cereal. They had flavors like s'mores, cinnamon toast crunch, and Fruit Loops. Oh, and their wall of cereal boxes was fun to just look at. Cereal s'mores ice cream. I actually had to go like. Day 2 of our surprise trip to Toronto. Slept in again, thanks West Coast time, and walked to the edge of town for these beaver tails. That's fried dough topped with Nutella, peanut butter, and Reese's Pieces. I'm like waiting for someone to kick us out of these seats. They feel too good to be true. We enjoyed our sugar high by the harbor, then hopped on a boat of our own. If you linger on the ferry a little bit as people are starting to get off, you get the views. We reached the islands. The vibe here suddenly reminds me of the Pacific Northwest. Just the energy level got taken down like several notches. So it's like a PNW summer. I did not know what to expect from the Toronto Islands when I kept seeing it on recommendations and things. A large part of it made it seem like a tourist trap, especially with just all the stuff around it. But even if it is, this is probably one of those tourist traps that are more worth it. Good change of pace from the city. Good view here. So we found a spot with some of the best views of the city, the Toronto Islands. It's kind of the sudden contrast. One minute you're on the other side there in downtown Toronto and you take a ferry across and you're out here. And it's quieter except for the water crashing and there's trees everywhere and birds and the vibe just suddenly gets chill. We returned to the city, got a little lost in the underground. So we're wandering around Union Station trying to figure out where the actual train line is. We did not find the train line. Instead, what we found was basically a mall inside the station. We found our way out eventually, then headed for dinner. Mussels and ceviche. We walked it off around Koreatown, admired one of Toronto's incredible city parks. Seriously, the city has some great parks. Then we wound up here. This is Toronto's Snakes and Lattes. It's a board game cafe. Toronto seems to have several cafes that love board games, but this one had several locations and just seemed the most inviting. My first thought was about how a lot of those boba shops where I live usually have a box of Catan and Codenames in the corner, but trust me, this goes way beyond that. This is a full-on library of board games that takes up the back wall. It's sorted from party games to strategy games to kids games. There's also a section where you can buy a game if you like it so much. Okay, this is heavy. Probably means complicated. Their staff is super helpful. While Daniel and I were taking a while to choose a game, someone popped up to make recommendations. He came back to explain the game to us. I'm pretty sure he would have sat down to play with us if we asked. Their menu is much more robust than the name Board Game Cafe implies. They've got beer, cocktails, pub food, coffee drinks. We settled on playing a game of Chin and then Tikal, 2 games with fairly quick learning curves. We actually got so invested in them, we accidentally stayed past closing. Whoops. But really, not a bad way to end the day. We started day 3 of our Toronto visit with a return to Kensington Market. First order of business, getting breakfast with every single person I knew in the city. So, all 3 of them. After a good catch-up session, we lingered around the Kensington China area for some souvenirs. Kensington Market is pretty well known for its thrift shops, so I tried my hand at finding a toddler-sized throwback Raptors jersey since my 2-year-old would have loved that dinosaur. No luck, but I guess that was a pretty specific item. We walked out to the Royal Ontario Museum and got to admire their new crystal from the outside. That was it though, because the museum's closed on Mondays. Instead, we strolled through the Philosopher's Walk adjacent to the museum, met some tree aficionados who debriefed me on the horse chestnuts. And on a map, this park looks kind of unassuming, but in person, a lot can happen in a 10-minute walk. And met their black-furred squirrels. After dinner, we went out to the suburbs to do some errands at the Real Canadian Superstore, but the real reason we went out to the burbs was this: Activate. Alright, so we're at this place called Activate Toronto. This thing is like real live VR games. I booked it kind of on a whim, so let's go see what this is about. I don't really know how to explain this place except Squid Games Arcade? Here's a game where we had to spell words before this giant eyeball found us, and here's one where we had to keep throwing beanbags at color-changing targets. My footage is terrible, but that's partly because all the game rooms in here were just about in total darkness, and partly because I was way too invested in these games. They were so fun. I'm lucky I recorded anything. This city gives you so many different ways to have fun. Okay, top 3 general Toronto things.
CN Tower.
CN Tower from behind.
Let's see. I mean, okay, well, obviously Activate was great. It was really fun. So was Snakes and Lattes. That was a really cool idea.
The games.
Basically. I mean, they're really fun. Like, Activate was a lot more, of course, active. But Snakes and Lattes was super chill, but both super fun and nerdy in their own way.
Thanks, Toronto. Good times here.
We did it.
See you soon, I hope. It was fun. In conclusion, take trips with your friends. Friendship is for the young. At least it seems that way, right? People typically meet their best friends in school, be it grade school or high school or perhaps college. Maybe your early 20s, but this is when you do stuff together. Lots of dumb stuff, and you grow together. But then you get older. Work happens, kids happen, life happens. And that's when it really feels like friendship is for the young, but maybe you aren't so young anymore? You go months at a time without seeing your closest friends. Years for some people. Now think about how short life really is. That can't be right. But every now and again, you get the opportunity to defy that. And yeah, it takes more effort to plan, and it's a bigger thing to say yes to. But what can I say? Do it. Because when you do, it all comes back.